Have you ever looked at your blood test and thought, it's just a number? I feel fine, so it can't be that serious, only to find out months later that your creatinine has quietly climbed while you felt absolutely nothing at all. That false sense of safety is exactly what makes high creatinine so dangerous, because by the time your body finally sends you a warning signal, the damage to your kidneys may already be difficult or even impossible to reverse. As a physician, I've seen too many people over 50 blindsided by this, not because they ignored their health, but because no one ever told them how silently kidney decline can unfold. What makes this even more alarming is that some of the everyday foods people believe are healthy foods they've eaten for decades, without a second thought, can slowly push creatinine higher day after day, without pain, without symptoms, without a clear sign that anything is wrong. This isn't meant to scare you, but it is meant to wake you up, because when kidney function starts slipping, time is not on your side, and small daily habits can matter far more than a single lab result ever will. But here's the part I want you to hold on to. High creatinine is not a life sentence, and protecting your kidneys does not require extreme diets or giving up everything you enjoy. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which common foods may be quietly overloading your kidneys, why they have this effect according to real medical science, and most importantly, what you can start doing today to reduce the strain, stabilize your numbers, and give your kidneys a fighting chance to keep working for you for years to come. Let's start with the group of foods almost no one suspects: salt-roasted nuts, especially salted cashews and salted peanuts. They're everywhere. On the coffee table, in the car, beside the TV at night. Many people over 50 tell me, "Doctor, it's just a small handful." I've eaten them my whole life, and that's exactly why this matters, because the danger here is not how dramatic it feels in the moment, but how quietly it builds pressure inside your kidneys day after day. I remember a 61-year-old patient who came into my clinic confused and frustrated. His creatinine had crept up over 2 years, his blood pressure was harder to control, and his ankles were starting to swell by evening. When we reviewed his diet, nothing looked extreme. No fast food, no soda, no obvious excess. Then he casually mentioned a habit he never thought twice about: a bowl of salted cashews every night while watching the news. To him, it was a harmless routine. To his kidneys, it was a constant daily strain. Here's the science behind why this happens. A small handful of salted cashews or peanuts can contain 200 to 300 milligrams of sodium, sometimes more. For a healthy young adult, that might not seem alarming. But for someone over 50, especially with reduced kidney filtration, sodium acts like a sponge. It pulls water into the bloodstream, increases fluid volume, and pushes blood pressure higher. Elevated blood pressure causes the tiny blood vessels inside the kidneys to constrict, forcing them to filter under higher pressure. Over time, that extra workload can translate directly into rising creatinine levels. Studies consistently show that sodium sensitivity increases with age, meaning the same snack your body tolerated at 40 can become a problem at 60. What makes this even worse is that many commercially roasted nuts are fried in low-quality oils and seasoned with additives like MSG. These compounds promote low-grade inflammation, which further damages the delicate filtering units of the kidneys. The result is a perfect storm: higher blood pressure, more inflammation in kidneys that have to work harder just to keep up. And the scariest part, you usually don't feel any of this happening until lab results start to change. Now here's where control comes back into your hands. This isn't about giving up nuts forever. It's about choosing wisely. Switching to unsalted or dry roasted nuts can dramatically reduce sodium intake without sacrificing flavor. Some of my patients roast raw cashews at home with a pinch of cinnamon or black pepper instead of salt. Others portion them into small bags so mindless overeating doesn't sneak up on them. Within weeks, many report less swelling, more stable blood pressure, and lab numbers that finally stop creeping in the wrong direction. But here's the transition I want you to pay attention to, because sodium is only part of the story. Even if you remove salt completely, there's another hidden mineral in certain seeds that the kidneys struggle to eliminate once function starts to decline, and it can quietly accelerate kidney damage even faster than sodium. And that's where the next food becomes truly dangerous. Most people never see it coming. If sodium was the pressure quietly squeezing your kidneys from the outside, this next factor works even more insidiously from within, and most people never think to look for it. I'm talking about salt-roasted sunflower seeds, a snack many Americans consider harmless, even healthy. They're crunchy, comforting, easy to eat by the handful while driving or watching television. But for aging kidneys, sunflower seeds carry a hidden burden that can be far more difficult to manage than salt alone. I'll never forget a patient in his late 50s who insisted he had already cut back on salt. His blood pressure looked better, yet his creatinine continued to rise. When we went deeper, he mentioned cracking sunflower seeds every evening. No chips, no cookies, just seeds. What he didn't realize was that sunflower seeds are exceptionally high in phosphorus, a mineral that healthy kidneys can usually excrete, but weakened kidneys struggle to eliminate. In fact, sunflower seeds can contain 700 to 800 milligrams of phosphorus per 100 grams, a concentration that quickly overwhelms declining kidney function. Here's why that matters. When phosphorus builds up in the bloodstream, the body tries to compensate by pulling calcium out of the bones to maintain balance. This not only weakens bones over time, but also damages blood vessels, making them stiffer and less flexible. For the kidneys, that means even higher resistance, poorer blood flow, and more strain on already fragile filters. Add sodium back into the picture, as many sunflower seeds are heavily salted, and you get a double hit: fluctuating blood pressure plus mineral overload. Research shows that elevated phosphorus levels are linked to faster progression of kidney disease and higher cardiovascular risk, especially in people with reduced GFR. The danger is subtle. You don't feel phosphorus accumulating. There's no immediate pain, no obvious warning sign, just lab values drifting upward month after month. That's why this snack catches so many people off guard. The solution isn't complicated, but it does require awareness. Choosing unsalted sunflower seeds, limiting portions to 1 or 2 spoonfuls at a time, and even soaking them briefly before eating can reduce digestive stress and make them easier for the body to handle. These small adjustments can significantly lower the burden on your kidneys without forcing you to give up everything you enjoy. But here's what I want you to stay with me for, because even sodium and phosphorus combined aren't always the biggest accelerators of kidney decline. There's another category of nuts that looks harmless, almost indulgent, that can drive inflammation and blood sugar spikes at the same time, silently pushing creatinine even higher. And knowing this next piece may completely change how you snack from this point forward. Now, this is where many people get completely misled, because the next group of nuts doesn't just look harmless, it looks comforting, rewarding, even joyful. I'm talking about sugar-coated nuts, caramelized nuts, honey-roasted peanuts, brown sugar almonds. For many adults over 50, these aren't just snacks, they're treats. Something sweet at the end of the day, something that feels earned after years of hard work. And that emotional attachment is exactly why this category is so dangerous for the kidneys. I once spoke with a woman in her early 60s who told me, "Doctor, I don't eat dessert anymore. I just have a small handful of honey-roasted nuts in the evening." Her intentions were good, but her lab results told a different story. Her blood sugar was creeping upward, inflammation markers were elevated, and her creatinine had increased noticeably over the past year. What she didn't realize was that these sugar-coated nuts combine 3 kidney stressors at once: concentrated sugar-oxidized fats from high-heat roasting and often hidden sodium. Here's the science in simple terms. When you consume foods high in added sugar, blood glucose rises rapidly. In people over 50, especially those with insulin resistance or diabetes, this repeated glucose surge damages small blood vessels throughout the body, including the delicate capillaries in the kidneys. Over time, damaged kidney blood vessels reduce filtration efficiency, forcing the kidneys to work harder to clear waste. On top of that, many sugar-coated nuts are roasted in reused low-quality oils which oxidize easily. These oxidized fats trigger chronic low-grade inflammation, a key driver of kidney tissue damage and declining GFR. Studies consistently link higher inflammatory markers and poor glycemic control with faster increases in creatinine. What makes this problem so deceptive is that it feels moderate. It doesn't feel like cake or candy, but metabolically, the kidneys experience it very differently. The solution here isn't punishment, it's substitution. Choosing plain whole nuts and creating natural flavor with cinnamon or vanilla can satisfy that craving without the sugar spike. Some patients pair a few unsalted walnuts with a small amount of unsweetened dried fruit to get sweetness without overwhelming the kidneys. Others pre-portion snacks to avoid mindless overeating, which dramatically reduces sudden glucose and insulin surges. And this is the key shift I want you to notice. Once sugar and inflammation are removed from the equation, nuts can go from being a kidney burden to becoming a kidney ally. But knowing which ones truly help and how to use them correctly is where most people get it wrong, because just avoiding harmful nuts isn't enough. There are specific nuts that can actively protect your kidneys, and the first one may surprise you. After talking about what quietly harms the kidneys, this is the moment many people don't expect, because not all nuts are the enemy. In fact, there is one nut that, when used correctly, can actually support kidney function instead of overloading it. I'm talking about walnuts, and I want you to listen carefully here, because this is where fear starts to turn into control. I remember a man in his late 60s who came to see me after being told his creatinine was borderline high. He had already cut out fast food and sugary snacks, but he still felt stuck. When we adjusted his diet, one small change surprised him the most: adding a modest amount of walnuts. A few months later, his inflammation markers improved, his blood pressure stabilized, and his creatinine stopped climbing. He looked at me and said, "I thought all fatty foods were bad for my kidneys." That misunderstanding is incredibly common. Here's why walnuts are different. Walnuts are rich in alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid with powerful anti-inflammatory effects. Chronic inflammation is one of the main drivers of declining kidney filtration and rising creatinine, especially in adults over 50. Multiple studies have shown that diets higher in omega-3 fats are associated with slower progression of kidney disease and better vascular health. Walnuts also contain polyphenols, natural antioxidants that protect kidney cells from oxidative stress caused by free radicals. On top of that, walnuts provide magnesium and fiber, which help stabilize blood pressure and blood sugar, two silent enemies of kidney health. Research in older adults with early-stage kidney disease has found that consuming about 5 to 7 unsalted walnuts per day can improve endothelial function and reduce inflammatory markers, both of which ease the filtering pressure inside the kidneys. But in this is critical: walnuts only help when they're used properly. Salted or sugar-coated versions cancel out the benefits. Portion size matters too. Walnuts are calorie-dense, and overeating them can lead to weight gain, which indirectly increases kidney workload. The most effective approach is simple: choose raw or lightly roasted unsalted walnuts and keep the portions small and intentional. Some people soak them for a few hours before eating to improve digestion and nutrient absorption. Others add them to yogurt, oatmeal, or salads, so they're part of a balanced meal, not a mindless snack. Used this way, walnuts don't burden the kidneys. They act like a buffer, reducing inflammation and supporting healthier blood flow. But here's where I need you to stay with me, because walnuts are only part of the solution. There is another small, often overlooked seed that works in a completely different way, by helping your body remove waste before it ever reaches the kidneys. And knowing how to use this next one correctly could make a measurable difference in your creatinine levels. If walnuts help calm inflammation inside the kidneys, this next seed works even earlier in the chain, and that's what makes it so powerful. I'm talking about ground flaxseed, a small, almost forgettable seed that most people walk past in the grocery store without a second glance. Yet in my clinical experience, flaxseed has helped more patients stabilize their creatinine than many supplements combined, simply because it changes how waste is handled before the kidneys ever have to deal with it. I think of a patient in her early 70s who felt she had tried everything. Her diet was clean, her medications were optimized, yet her creatinine kept inching upward. When we added just one habit, 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed a day, she was skeptical. It felt too simple. But within weeks, her digestion improved. Bloating disappeared, her blood pressure became more stable, and over the next few months, her creatinine finally stopped rising. Nothing dramatic changed on the outside, but inside her body, the workload on her kidneys quietly eased. Here's the science behind why this happens. Flaxseed is rich in lignans and soluble fiber, 2 compounds that act like internal support systems. Soluble fiber forms a gel-like substance in the digestive tract, binding toxins and metabolic waste and escorting them out of the body through the intestines. That means fewer waste products reach the bloodstream and fewer reach the kidneys to be filtered. Studies in kidney patients have shown that consuming 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed per day can reduce inflammation markers and improve creatinine levels by 5 to 10% over several weeks, a meaningful change without adding medication. There's an important detail most people miss: flaxseed must be ground. Whole flax seeds often pass straight through the digestive system undigested, taking their benefits with them. Grinding releases the omega-3 fats and lignans, allowing the body to absorb them fully. Proper storage matters too. Ground flax seed should be kept in an airtight container, preferably in the refrigerator, to prevent oxidation that destroys its anti-inflammatory properties. Used correctly, flaxseed doesn't stimulate the kidneys to work harder. It lightens their load by rerouting waste removal upstream. The beauty of flaxseed is how easily it fits into daily life. Mixed into unsweetened yogurt, oatmeal, or a low-sugar smoothie, it works quietly in the background. Many patients tell me they don't feel anything dramatic, but that's exactly the point. The kidneys thrive when stress is reduced, silently, consistently, and over time. But I want you to stay with me just a little longer, because understanding individual foods, good or bad, is only part of the picture. There's one final insight, something most people never connect, that can determine whether creatinine merely stabilizes or whether kidney function continues to decline toward dialysis. And this last piece may be the most important decision you make for your kidneys moving forward. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this: your kidneys are not fragile because you're weak. They're vulnerable because they work silently. Day after day, year after year, they filter your blood without asking for attention, without pain, without complaint. And the fact that you're here right now listening tells me something important: you care about protecting them before it's too late. That already puts you ahead of so many people who only start asking questions when options are limited. You don't need to change everything overnight. You don't need fear, guilt, or extreme rules. What truly protects kidney health is awareness, consistency, and small decisions made with intention. Choosing the right foods, eating them at the right time, and understanding how your body changes after 50. These choices may seem simple, but over months and years, they can slow decline, stabilize creatinine, and help you maintain independence and quality of life. If this video helped you see your kidneys differently, I encourage you to save it so you can come back to it, especially on days when old habits try to return. And if you want to keep learning how to care for your kidneys with clear science-based guidance made for real life, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I share the latest medical insights, practical nutrition strategies, and prevention tools designed specifically to help protect kidney health as we age. There is hope here. High creatinine is not the end of the story. With the right knowledge and the right habits, many people are able to slow progression, regain stability, and live full, active lives without fear of what the next lab result might say. Take care of your kidneys, stay curious, stay consistent, and I'll be here to guide you every step of the way.